Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Family Jewels. I'm Colton Bartell.
And I'm Audie Bartell.
And we're both graduate gemologists here at Susann's Custom Jewelers. And so thanks for joining us this week's episode. And this one's kind of a fun one because it's got a whole different feel to it. And it doesn't just talk about one particular stone.
Right.
It's any and all.
Well, we've got an assortment here, I guess. But
Yeah, we didn't get all of them.
no.
But it could apply to all of them.
Maybe not.
Gemstones.
But not all of the gemstones. Some of this you wouldn't do to some gemstones.
Well, no, but this has to, I mean, if you're going to...
A lot of this would be color,
Yeah,
but probably not diamond.
no. But what I'm just talking about is just, in general, the topic we're going to be covering applies to all gemstones.
Okay.
It may just not be in the same way every time. If we're not vague enough.
Yeah.
But
So we're talking about cutting or styles of cutting.
yes, primarily fancy cutting or basically stuff that is not a calibrated cut, meaning that it's not a standard industry size
That
and facet pattern, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit to cover. There's going to be a lot of stones that we show you today, and hopefully these show up well on our camera here. May be difficult to see some of these, but we're going to try and get them focused in as best we can with the equipment that we got.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know, what do you want? Is that what you're wanting to start out with?
Yeah, and we said that it was going to be non-calibrated and untraditional. And I guess this one is...
It's traditional in a sense, but it goes beyond that.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start out with a diamond. And this is basically about a 2-carat one. And the reason we're starting out with a round, which that sounds a little bit weird.
Yeah, not real fancy. But...
A round is, in the diamond world, is the biggest selling shape in the world.
Yeah, by far.
Most popular.
Most popular shape.
What's a little bit unusual about this one, and we kind of named it ourselves, I guess, or whatever, is we call this a super ideal. And what that means is kind of like Colton was talking about. It actually goes a little bit beyond. There's kind of like, if you do GIA cutting terms, they have like excellent.
They may have poor, fair, good, very good, and excellent.
And this stone would be
in the top 1% of the excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there actually should be at least one more category above excellent just for this cutting.
Yeah. So the reason we're kind of bringing this up, or I wanted to bring this up first, is this would be done on diamond or a colorless stone, because the whole idea behind this cutting is return the maximum amount of white light back to the eye. So what this cutting does is it actually makes things look whiter.
And bigger.
And bigger.
Yeah.
But the problem gets to be whenever we get to colored stones,
it doesn't treat light the same way.
Well, it tends to wash stones out. So
you lose the color.
In colored stones, the biggest thing is not how much white light do you bring to the eye.
It's the color.
Yeah, you want that intensity of color.
Yeah.
And this style of cutting would actually wash that out. So so you're not going to find, and that's the way, a lot of fancy colored diamonds, at least naturals, are not going to be cut in this type of cutting because it's going to make them lighter. And just like in colored stones, when you get to fancy colored diamonds, that color is a big deal. So
Well, and not only that, but with like fancy colored diamonds, especially natural, is in this cutting process and getting to this point of a super ideal, there's typically or traditionally a lot of weight loss in this cutting style from the rough. And so especially in those natural fancy colors, they want to retain weight as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a twofold thing of not cutting it this way for those fancy colors, in that, for one, they want to retain that weight so they have a heavier stone, essentially a more expensive stone. And then two, they're wanting to intensify the color, which by cutting it this way would not do that. But in saying that, with white diamonds or white shades of diamonds, this is actually the best or the ideal way to cut the stones. And essentially what this comes down to is we have a modern round brilliant facet pattern, but these are being cut to basically near perfection. Mm-hmm. Round is the only shape that you can get perfect symmetry on. So, you know, any way you go across that stone, it's going to be the same distance, or you'd like it to be anyway, to be perfectly round. The other thing is too with these is, you know, all of the facet pattern or all of the facet junctions and everything are going to be real crisp and clean. All of the places where they meet are going to be in perfect symmetry and alignment. And so what essentially this does is, you know, they know how light interacts within the diamond, and so they know how it's going to reflect and refract, and they're able to cut the angles and everything of these facets so perfect that when the light does enter the stone, it reflects inside and back out. And with these super ideals, they have nearly 100% light return. And that's something you don't...
White light return.
White light return, yeah. So it's not something you traditionally get with these stones. You can have some that are cut nice, but in a traditional sense of cutting diamond, the main goal was to retain weight because you wanted a heavier stone. So it was very odd, just even a few years ago, to get like a 99 pointer or something just below a carat or below a 2 carat or whatever, because the goal was to meet those steps. You know, if you had a 99 pointer,
you couldn't call it, if it's a single stone, you couldn't call it a carat.
Yeah, you can't call it a carat, and the price drops. So back in the day, before cutting became a bigger and bigger deal, you know, that guy that was cutting that probably got fired. I mean, that was a major mistake. Now you might see some that are 99, 98, but are these super ideal cuts, because now the cutting has become more important
than what the final weight of the stone's going to be.
Yeah, because the cutting essentially determines how beautiful a stone is.
Right. So I kind of wanted to start with that, because almost everything else that we're going to show you is done with colored stones. So, and I say that we've got some colorless. We got some colorless ones here too. But
well, yeah, they're colorless, but they're still technically in the colored stone category.
Well, the family is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe the next thing we do is maybe take. Let's do.
Do you want to show the colorless ones?
Well, we
just
could
slowly move into the color.
Oh yeah, I guess we could. Okay, so these are more a
they're kind of a stair step,
a spiral.
Yeah. So most of what we're going to be showing you is what we call either a fancy cutting or a fantasy cutting,
or carved. And this, I'm going to say this may be more carved.
This is carved. So this is actually rock crystal quartz. And you can see the little stair step in there.
Kind of the spiral. And they show it from
the
back.
Background here. Yeah.
Show it backwards.
So you can actually see those.
So when you
ridges cut in there,
you look into the stone, it's got that spiral look. Gives the stone a whole different look.
Yeah, and what's cool is once you get it to a certain point, the reflection actually reflects the other side, so it looks like it's complete.
Yeah.
Just kind of neat. that's probably one of the more unusual ones, because it's not a pattern that goes all the way around. We have the same thing with some of these, what we call mirrored cuts.
There's another carved one. Let's do the carved ones first.
Oh, okay.
So this one is another one in the quartz family, and this has got a little bit of rock crystal quartz, and then that one end is a little bit of an amethyst. I don't know if I'm getting that too close or too far away, but
right.
Most of the carving is done on the back side.
Yeah.
Oops. You don't drop it. Get it. Let's see. You can kind of see that.
Yeah.
They've done. And what happens is whenever you look through that stone,
it gives it
a little more
three-dimension.
Yeah. So, it's almost a little bit of
Yeah, let me see if I can hold it this way and not have my hand behind it so much, so we have a little bit of background. There, we'll put it over your jacket.
Yeah, maybe helps a little bit.
But yeah, you can actually see, and I know it's a little bit out of focus there, but you can actually see the facets being carved in the back there. Let's see if we can get a little bit of light reflection off that. You can actually see that.
That's a hole, basically.
Yeah.
But
makes for a really cool stone.
Yeah.
Probably one of the largest ones that is done this way is actually in the entryway of GIA in Carlsbad, California. It's actually a very, very large rutilated quartz that's suspended from the ceiling.
Is that a Moonsteiner or?
I think that one was cut by a guy from I believe
Germany.
Eder Oberstein, Germany, named Bernd Munsteiner. Really cool guy. Him and his son both do gem carving, and you'll have to look them up because the stuff that they come up with is just incredible. And they've carved all sorts of different stones. So this is another one that's carved. We've got some butterfly wings out of blue-dyed agate.
The butterfly just flew.
Yeah.
Or he's trying to fly. How do I do that? There, that kind of helps a little bit.
That's a little better. Yeah.
And this has probably been dyed somewhere.
Yeah, it's blue-dyed agate. Yeah.
But carved, so there's actually you can feel. Oh no, I guess it's not.
Yeah, it is. There's
little
got
bit.
Little veins in the wings and
It's a
stuff to
little
give it
hard
some more
to-
detail.
Can kind of see a little bit there.
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
But normally this is not done in diamond. A lot of these pieces are larger than what a diamond crystal would be anyway, so
Yeah.
I guess you could do some little bitty.
Though with diamond, I mean, we've seen
Letters.
we've seen letters, we've seen horse heads, which are pretty cool. Seen what we call bullets. They're kind of unusual.
Yeah, those are more not really carved. Those are still.
They're just a fantasy cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a fancy
Fancy cut.
Yeah. So then you get into some of these that are maybe a little bit more rugged. It's not technically a carving, but it's more of a chipping, an intentional chipping. And this is actually what we call a mirrored cut. So actually on one side it's perfectly polished, and then on the other side the edge is chipped. And you can actually see this a little bit better maybe if I spin this around. So you can see the back side of this is chipped, and then the other side is polished, and then when you flip this, the illusion that you get from the other side is what's really cool. So this is a mirrored cut, which
So
we
it
have some of
almost
these.
looks like a faceted stone. But
It does, but a lot of these, what ends up happening is when you turn them sideways, they almost look like a mountain landscape a little bit.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that before.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool because it allows for maybe some more unusual design work. But what's really, really nice about them is you're never going to have two that are the same.
I don't know if that's good or not. What if you want to do your earrings?
Well, they're going to be slightly different. But most of these stones are actually fairly large too. We do have another carved one or actually two more carved ones that we hadn't shown yet. But this is another lemon quartz that's a mirrored cut. So these are kind of cool. That one's an amethyst.
Which you can kind of see you get it to where just the one side, and then you turn it just a little bit like you'd normally be looking at it, and it looks like the whole stone is that way.
Yeah. As we're showing some of these carved quartzes and stuff. So this one's kind of cool because this is also the logo for the watch company we're starting. This is actually a Pinta Foil, or basically a a 5-petal basically a 5-petal flower pattern or star pattern. But this one's really cool. You can see it's actually got some little facets cut in the back of it, so
almost like leaf veining or something.
Yeah, a little bit. But this is a really, really cool stone. We have some of these also in amethyst, but they're a little bit smaller, so we wanted to show this one. It's a little easier to see.
Yeah.
Then we've also got carved pearls, which a lot of people have probably not seen. Not that everybody's seen this stuff before, but this is probably one of the more unusual ones, and this may be also very difficult to see on there. Yeah.
It's kind of dimpled, but when you look at it, it looks like they're raised instead of inset.
It does. It's kind of unusual. But the company that actually does this, they do some really incredible carved pearls. The company that makes this is Galatea, and they actually do some that whenever they culture the pearls, they use turquoise and some other materials. Opal. I've seen them use opal as a...
I think it may be synthetic opal though.
Yeah. But what they're doing is they're actually going back, and once the pearl has formed, they're going in and they're actually either etching or carving or both into the pearl, and it reveals the turquoise or opal or whatever it is that's on the inside of it. So you actually have pearl encasing another gemstone, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. It's kind of unusual. First time I saw it I think it was turquoise.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and he does that with either black or white. I think of the ones I've seen probably the most are probably in the blacks.
Yeah. Well, and they do have some pink pearls. Yeah. Really, really cool.
I'm sure this is all done by hand.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So it's like putting little dimples on a
golf ball by hand.
Yeah.
But smaller.
But just, and it's probably really hard to tell here, but it's a little bit of an optical illusion.
See if taking some of that light out helps.
I don't think
Maybe
so.
A little bit.
But they're carved in, so they're concave, but they look like they're convex.
Yeah.
They're rounded out. Which it's really weird.
It's like it's a bubbled surface.
First time I saw this, I thought, how'd they do that? Where they went in and
went around it?
Yeah. But that's not the case.
Yeah. So, moving on from there, we've got...
we could. That's not... I was just going to show them another... That's not extraordinary or anything. That's just basically a cabochon. But
yeah.
That cabochon is done to focus light. And so what you can do is you can actually see the play of color easier in an opal whenever it's a cabochon, for the most part. And you don't have to, but a lot of them where you...
We really need darker background here.
Yeah.
But you can kind of somewhat see that. These are, again, a lot of this, just like, we say almost nearly every episode, these are much easier seen and kind of understood in person. but we at least want to kind of try and show you guys some of this stuff. And
so do we want to run through like the millennial stuff?
well, you'd have another carved one there
Right.
that's really cool.
Okay.
So this one's an ametrine that's carved. This one's really cool. Unusual shape, and then it's also got the concave facets, which are pretty cool.
Well, it's not concave facets, it's carved on the back.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's not concave, is it?
Yeah, I think those might be.
It's a little hard to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, the built-in tweezers I got probably don't help either.
Yeah. There we go.
But, it just changes the whole look of that stone.
Mhm.
Before, you would have just, with the amethyst would have kind of blended in, and what they've done here is almost highlighted the differences in that stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost a little bit like a bow tie.
It is a little bit, yeah.
So,
That one's pretty cool. Then we get into, do we want to do like that checkerboard?
Yeah,
A couple checkerboards.
yeah.
So, and as you'll notice, most of this stuff is quartz, just because it's more plentiful stone. It takes good polish, and it's fairly easy for them to facet. So, this is something that they can afford to experiment with a little bit. This one's kind of unusual because this is actually a double-sided pear shape here that's actually got what's called a checkerboard pattern on both sides. So this is similar to like a briolet, but it still has a girdle or an edge to it. So this is kind of a two-sided stone
So
here.
that'd be one you couldn't get upside down.
Right. But you
Maybe.
can see the little square facets on there that are pretty cool. And then we've got one that is more of an emerald cut shape that has a checkerboard to
Is it a
it.
checkerboard just one side? Yep.
Yeah.
So the top is checkerboard, and the rest of it is
Just
let's-
basically straight facets on the back side.
well, not quite. A little bit of scissor cut.
Oh, a little bit, yeah.
So
So you can see those little flashes on there that are
it
that
just gives a
checkerboard.
whole different look to the stone.
Yep. It's really pretty.
Yeah. So it doesn't have that large facet on top like an emerald cut would be. It's, and I can maybe do a profile and you could kind of see that.
It's a little bit domed,
Yeah.
but it definitely grabs more attention. It's more of a conversation.
Yeah, and whenever this stone moves, you get a little more purple sparkle or.
Yeah. Gives a little bit more sparkle and not just big, like one or two big flashes of light.
Mhm.
It's kind of a continual strobe of light, I guess you could say.
And then this one is kind of a somewhat traditional cut.
Straight, kind of,
It's
it's like
basically a baguette,
a large tapered baguette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Very large.
I would say you would probably still call this a fancy cut.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a fancy cut just because it's a baguette.
Yeah.
But, kind of displays the rutile that's in the quartz. This is related quartz, or did you
Yep.
already tell them that? I
No,
guess?
I didn't.
So, but it has parallel facets. Well, somewhat parallel, I guess.
Yeah, they're basically long step cuts.
Yeah. So this backside, and this is done more to display the rutile in there than anything. We're
Yeah.
not necessarily worrying about sparkle or something like that, because the big attention to this is the related quartz.
Yeah.
Or the rutile in the quartz.
And then another one that's basically a step cut, but a little bit more of an unusual shape. I'm going to leave this one in the box because this may be a little bit difficult to hold, but this is actually a kite. a kite cut. This is actually pink tourmaline. This one's it's a really cool shape, actually. But again, with this colored stone, this one, with the way this is cut, it actually, those facets intensify the color because it's actually keeping the light bouncing around in the stone a little longer. And so you can see that
how much longer would that be?
I don't know. Couple minutes, I don't know. But we're cooking that light in there. We're gonna roast it. But you can see that the point of that stone is actually a little bit deeper color than the rest of the body of that stone, and that's just simply because of the way this is cut. Overall, the body color of this stone is fairly even. It's just where this is being cut, and you can actually see it in the top maybe a little bit too, where the facets are concentrated, it's actually caused the color of the stone to be concentrated, which is kind of cool.
And then this one's also a tourmaline, and this is probably getting close to indicolite. This is a bluish green.
You may have to hold it down just a little bit.
Down where?
You were close. I don't know where you started.
Are they getting busy yet?
Move it over here just a little bit. There we go. Now you can see a little bit more of that green
or
blue in there.
A little tough to tell. This has a millennial cut, so the back of it is
concave facets, basically.
Yeah, it's almost
so they're actually cut into the stone like this, but they're still long.
Yeah,
it's like if you took a bunch of straws and lined them up next to each other, and then what the straw touched, you cut out.
So we should call it a straw cut?
No. But to show you another stone that it has similar facets, maybe a little bit easier to see, this is Kunzite, but you can actually see this has that shimmer effect on this stone. And that's actually what you're getting in that indicolite. It's just quite a bit darker so it's a little more difficult to see. But on this one, you can actually see all those little cuts. When we turn this to the side, you can actually see, almost looks like striping on there, but that's actually those little concave facets. There we go. We can kind of see those facets on there now.
There you go. That's a good one.
But ends up being a really cool kind of shimmer effect on the stone.
So one of the things, I guess, that maybe we're trying to bring a point out is cutting actually determines how pretty a stone is for the most part. And it can
enhance its beauty. It can also be a major design element in a piece. We did a piece, I guess a little over a year and a half ago maybe, that had a very large kiwi quartz in it that had the millennial cut on the back and then was straight faceted on the top, but had more of like this shape to it, and so it resembled more of a leaf. And so the piece that we made around it actually had like stems and leaves and stuff like that in the metal. So that cutting, it can enhance the beauty of the stone. It can add a design element that you wouldn't normally have with just having the stone in there. There's a lot of things that you can do with cutting to make it either more unusual or more beautiful. It's something that it's the one thing that we can do to a natural stone, and it still be called natural.
Right.
Because any other enhancement, because this is technically an enhancement to that stone because we're fashioning it. Any other enhancement makes it basically an altered stone or basically an enhanced stone. So it can no longer be called natural. And usually those enhancements are either affecting the color or the clarity.
That, or you have to disclose enhancement.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that, over the years, cutting has gotten better and more impressive and more unusual. As technology has come about and new equipment has come out, and people have gotten more imaginative with their designs and stuff like that, we start getting all these new and unusual facet patterns and cutting styles.
And I figure this one, I'm going to go back to this,
was probably a mistake.
Yeah, this is probably something that, you know,
the mirror cut.
Let's say I was starting to cut this into an emerald cut or whatever, and I dropped it and I go, shucks, look at that edge is all messed up. Oh, well,
we'll just polish the other one.
Let's polish the other side, and we'll just call it a mirror cut.
Not a mirror cat,
yeah.
or a mirror cat,
yeah.
but a mirror cut.
Yeah. So, well, it's one of those things where we kind of take for granted some of this stuff, and so we thought maybe this morning we kind of show it to you and explain why some of it's done. And
yeah, and there are a lot more
yeah.
out there that are more unusual. I mean, there's an infinite possibility with how these can be cut and fashioned and shaped, and so be on the lookout for that. If you guys are interested in something unusual, or you would like to see some of these different types of cutting, we've got a lot more that we could show. We could be on here for a couple hours at least just showing different cut gemstones and stuff and talking about them. But if you guys would like to check them out, we are located in the Town and Country Shopping Center at the corner of Everhart and Alameda here in Corpus Christi at 4226 South Alameda. Or you can give us a call, 361-991-7565. You can always check us out right here on Facebook, and then you can also visit our website, susann-jewelers.com. And if there's something that you'd like us to cover or talk about in a future episode, please leave it in the comments below. And other than that, thanks for joining us this week. We will see you next week. But remember, this coming Sunday is Mother's Day. So, gift ideas.
Yes. Get her a mirror cut.
Yeah. But, yes, we hope to see you guys soon. Thanks for joining us. If you guys have any questions or anything else, please leave them in the comments below or send us a message right here on Facebook, or you can email us through our website. But, do you have anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Thank you.
We will see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye. Maybe.